So when I got the email, I was number one. I went to my wife and I said, "Man, look at that." Neil said that he was inspired to look at these topics outside of class, and I said, "Man, that's pretty good to be able to inspire somebody like that." I think that's what every teacher ought to aspire to do, is to be able to inspire their students.
Hi, I'm Neil. I'm a senior majoring in math with concentration in statistics, and I met in our operations research and stochastic modeling class.
Hi, my name's Dave Williams. I'm an adjunct instructor in the math department. Actually, this is my very first class that I've taught. So after spending 35 years in the workforce, I decided to retire. And then I decided a year after that to pursue my master's degree. And I did that at William & Mary under the Computational Operations Research master's program. And decided that I wanted to continue to learn. And so I decided that I would teach, which has been a fantastic experience for me. So we met in class. Neil is one of my students. I teach operations research stochastic models. And I met Neil in class, and Neil has been a fantastic student. He is very interested in stochastic models as it applies to sports. And we had a great opportunity to talk about that after class. And I would say Neil is one of those students that really looks to apply math to real-world problems. And I thought that was, at least from my viewpoint, inspirational for me to know, Neil, that you actually did that on your own. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the extra effort and the time to apply what we're learning in the class into your life.
So I emailed him one day and I said I was pretty interested in, I watched a lot of basketball, and I realized that stochastic modeling is about transitions and transition probabilities, so going from one state to another, as we call it. And basketball is a perfect example of this because there's offense, defense, and funny enough, the transition like between offense and defense. And I always was so interested in modeling that, but I never had the tools to actually be able to do that until I took this class. And then once I took this class, we learned about things like transition probabilities, state spaces, Markov chains, stationary distributions, and I realized that we can use these to actually model what's going on the court. And just to learn, so I could learn more about it, I emailed him, just reached out, just to have a conversation and see what I could do, just based off of the interest I had in basketball, really.
So when I got the email, I was, number one, I went to my wife and I said, "Man, look at that." Neil said that he was inspired to look at these topics outside of class. And I said, "Man, that's pretty good to be able to inspire somebody like that." I think that's what every teacher ought to aspire to do, is to be able to inspire their students to take something that they're learning in the classroom beyond the classroom, because that's ultimately what I wanted to do, was to make sure that what I was teaching in class was to be used and to be able to be applied outside of the classroom. So that was a special day for me when I got your email, Neil. I showed my wife, and it really made my day. I think I told you that you really made my day when I got your email. So
yeah, I feel like in a lot of the math classes I've taken up until now, they've been very theoretical, and oftentimes I always would sit there and wonder, like, how do we even apply this to like real life? And I mean, I've loved sports so much, so I've always been interested in applying math to sports, but I never really knew the medium to do that. and this class is like the perfect intersection of all of my interests. Really, I just felt like I had to reach out because I learned like for the class we have to take probability, right? And so probability is a very foundational class, but I realized when we were taking the class, oh, I'm sure these things can be used in something, but I like never knew like how I could actually take the raw math techniques and really put them in a medium like stochastic modeling to actually model sports. And it's not like just basketball even. I mean, I watch a lot of other things like football, and I've always been captivated by the like AWS next gen stats powered by AI. There's a lot of math heavy stuff in the game that's like becoming a very analytical game, basketball, football, really. And yeah, the classes made me realize that there is actually a way to turn qualitative things into quantitative. And that's always, like, I've always aspired to do that my whole life. I've just wanted to take everything around me and see if I could quantify it, turn it into a number, and model it and see, like, can that actually be beneficial to the game? Or, I mean, even for personal use, I would just have a lot of fun working on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so listening to you say that, and I think stochastic models is a perfect example of, from a computational standpoint, not just the theoretical derivations to determine, why these things hold up in the real world, but simulating them and computing these types of problems that you're describing is something I think that from a math standpoint, from a instructor standpoint, I think is very worthwhile. So I'm glad you have embraced that, and it just validates that for me, and especially being the very first class that I've ever taught, something that motivates me and wants me to keep teaching. So I appreciate you reaching out to me and letting me know that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was just talking about it with them earlier. I'm considering coming back here for graduate school in computational operations research, which is directly what we talked about, what we study in class. And it's been of interest to me just because of the applications it has. I mean, my dream is to work in artificial intelligence, have my own company where I work in artificial intelligence, and I think stochastic modeling is actually a good segue to that, because we learn a lot about simulation and just the methods it takes to really, it's almost like experimenting, really. And I feel like a lot of the techniques we learn, mathematical and almost the coding aspect of it, are definitely applicable to things post-grad, and especially for me in artificial intelligence.
I would just add to that, and really a plug for the computational operations research master's program. There's a great faculty that supports that program out of the math department, the computer science department, and I'm a graduate of that program, going back to school after 35 years. I actually got my MBA degree from William and Mary, but that was back in 1992. So 2 years ago, I started the computational operations research program, the master's program, and I've been very, very pleased with the level of support from the faculty, the program itself, and certainly from my viewpoint, I think that there are so many real-world problems that can be modeled that the computational operations research program and coursework really, really supports that. So just a plug to the COR program. My favorite thing about teaching at William and Mary is being around the students. Teaching has, number one, just has thrilled me. It keeps me so motivated. I love to prepare for the classes. I love coming to the classes. I love talking to the students before class and finding out what they're doing and what they're interested in. And I just love everything about it. The school. I love everything about the people in the school, faculty, students, administration. They've been wonderful, and really has given me a sense of fulfillment in my life.
Yeah, I think both my mom's parents were professors in India, and well, my mom's mom taught chemistry, and my mom's dad taught like public policy, and so I can tell that was instilled in my mom because my mom used to teach me like everything when I was younger. She basically knew like my passion for math before I could even count. So she would teach me math. She would like put me in all the math Olympiad, math leads, timetables, memory. Like she cared so much about how much I learned about math, and I just realized that like it just runs in the family. Like I also want to be a teacher when like maybe after my career, I definitely want to do something like you and teach math or even philosophy or anything really. But I just know the impact of teachers has been so important on me, and not necessarily just in the role of a teacher, but anyone who's willing to guide you through particular moments. Like my mom wasn't a teacher, but she's been like my math teacher almost ever since I got into college, and I knew that because of how well she taught me these things, and I was just like a sponge to learn more math, and I just knew that once I like settled to do math in college, I just wanted to surround myself with professors who had the same level of enthusiasm to teach. And like no disrespect to my mom, but she doesn't know all the math, like like college level math and stuff. But it's almost like I wanted to find someone who just had like the passion to teach me, like she did, but just to learn more and more. When you enter college for students, it's just a new environment, academically, socially, and I know from firsthand experience that I almost felt like a fish out of water, and when I came here, but it was so different from what I was used to at home. Like I was kind of away from most of my friends, and I had to really start fresh in a new environment. I had no idea what I was doing, but everything will take care of itself. I think everything happens for a reason, but if you put in the work and you put yourself out there, I think for senior year me to see what the fruits of my labor I've done for the past 3 years, and I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't be here if I didn't go through the trials and tribulations that I did, and that wouldn't make me who I am now. Because I think if I had known this, I would still choose to go through the same path, the same struggle, because that makes you who you are. You're not just a person who kind of exists in this continuum of time. You are like almost your experiences and the people you surround yourself with, and what you learn during your time in college. That's what defines you sometimes more than just who you are in the present moment. So I think the experience of college, you will have a lot of ups and you will have a lot of downs, but you have to go through them, because it will make you a stronger person in the end. And I think a lot of adults always say that they look for students who've been through the struggle and they know how to bounce back, because it shows ambition and drive, and that's what a lot of people really look for in someone. They want to hire them, or even just to be friends with them, to be acquaintances. It's just, I think those characteristics are super important, and I think for someone who's like maybe coming in as a freshman, just know that it'll be okay in the end. But it may not seem like it, but the more work you put in, I think you'll see
that's cool story, and really just reaffirms in my mind that you got multiple generations of impact with your grandparents influencing your mother, influencing you, and you'll influence in your children down the road, or some other students if you become a teacher down the road. So I think that is pretty cool. Cheers.